There we go. All right. Excellent. Welcome today. My name is Sharon Jacobisi Clem, and today we're going to do a chair yoga class. And I really want to call it like the whole body. So we're going to really focus on the whole body. And throughout this whole body class, so we'll go with the head and neck, the shoulders, the arms, the spine, the hips, the legs. We're also going to focus on our breath awareness. So many people have the habit of holding their breath, and that stresses us out, tenses the shoulders, tightens up the hips. So this sort of combination class of notice your whole body and notice your breathing. And I will let you know when to think about your breath. Of course, if anything doesn't feel good to you or doesn't feel safe, then don't do it. Like, do not force yourself to do anything. And I'm going to give a lot of options so that you have choices. If something doesn't feel good to go all the way, you can go part way, or maybe just like an inch way into the stretch. And ideally, at the end of the class, you're just going to feel really nice in your body. All right, are you ready?
Ready.
Excellent. Okay, so we're going to start sitting back into the back of the chair. If you can have your feet flat, that is really ideal. And we're going to sit not so ladylike, but a little bit like a cowboy. So our legs are a little bit apart, and your knees are over your feet. And then we're going to actually take our palms and have our palms rest high up on our thigh by our hips, but with our palms facing up. So with our palms facing up, that helps to open the chest a little bit and lengthen through the abdominal wall. You can close your eyes if you like, or you can let your eyes go to half mast and maybe look like a little bit towards the floor. And we'll start with just a little bit of attention around the nose. If you're stuffy at all, then maybe the air goes in and out of your mouth. But just noticing the entrance and the exit. And the air is coming in and out of your nose or your mouth. It is cool when it comes in. And it's warm when it goes out. Maybe you can notice the temperature difference. And at the beginning of class, it's totally normal for the breath to be maybe a little smaller, maybe a little shallow. And see if you can allow for there to be a little bit of space between your upper and lower molars so you're not clenching your jaw. The back of your head is floating up, while the nose and the chin float a tiny bit down. That lengthens the neck. And then from here you can notice your chest maybe. And maybe put one hand on your chest, on one hand on your belly. You can notice a little bit of movement. So when air is coming into our body, our chest moves a little bit, it moves out and a little bit away from our back, and our belly also moves out a little bit. And then when the air goes out, there's a softening, so both your heart and your belly soften down. And if this breath awareness makes you want to yawn, you yawn big and proud. Yawning is actually fantastic for us. Now we're going to extend the out breath a little bit. So we're going to let breath out of our nose, and it's like you're making the sound of an ocean. So there's a little constriction at the back of the throat, and it sounds like an ocean. And then there's no rush to bring the air in. You wait for your body to bring the air in. Your whole torso moves with your breath. And it's actually on our out breath that we really can let go of any stress or tension. Even our armpits and our ribs and our armpits move a little bit. There's lungs in our ribs. Then you can gently let your hands come down. We're going to start with some arm movement now. So you want to sit in a way where you feel supported through your legs and your seat. And we're going to take our hands so that they are out to the sides and our palms are facing forward. And with this is a little bit like mountain, which is a standing pose, but we're doing it seated with the palms pointing forward. The shoulder blades move a little bit down the back, opening the chest. And then we're going to reach our hands up and overhead, letting the palms touch. And then on an out breath, you can swing the arms back down and around. And we'll do that again. So we're going to reach the arms out and up on an in breath. And swinging them down and around. So this is warming up the shoulders. We'll do that one more time, reaching up and over. And this time, bringing the palms down through center at the level of the sternum. Here you can push your palms together and that will open the insides of the wrists. And then we're going to clasp our hands and rotate our hands around in circles, warming up the wrists. And it's kind of tempting to shrug the shoulders up so you can let the shoulders come down the back. And then you can take your right hand and flex the right wrist towards the camera. Letting the shoulders soften down. And then we'll take the back of the hand and send the back of the hand towards the camera, stretching the top of the wrist. And then we'll do that with the other side. So your left hand sending the palm towards the camera. And then flexing the wrist and sending the back of the hand towards the camera. Our hands on our wrists can get so tight if we're doing work on the computer. And then we'll make fists and roll them around. And then we'll roll them around in the other direction. And then we're going to switch to our shoulders. So let's bring the shoulders up towards the ears. And then roll the shoulders blades together and then down the back. And then rolling forward. See that if you can do the biggest movement possible. And your shoulder blades are slipping and sliding on your back. Letting breath move. And then we're going to switch directions. So you'll start going down and then pulling the shoulder blades together. And then when the shoulder blades are coming together, bringing the shoulder blades up. So you're going into forward circles. And then a little shake here, letting them drop down. And then just forward and back, loosening up the shoulders. So we can lock our shoulder blades on our back and up towards our ears all throughout the day. And then we get really tight through the shoulders. So letting the shoulder blades move as much as possible is so good for releasing that tension. And then now we're going to take your right arm forward, letting the shoulder blade drop down and then across your body. With your left arm, you're going to hug that arm across your body. Now here, we often like to shrug our shoulders, so letting the shoulders melt down the back. So your neck is soft and long. And then to come out of this stretch, you're going to reach your fingertips away from you. So you do the biggest movement possible. And then bringing the right arm down. Then you'll take your left arm forward and bring it across your body. So this will stretch the back of the arm and then the shoulder muscles at the back, the deltoids. And then we'll let the left arm reach as far away from you as possible. So when we do these big movements, that actually lets the neck release more, our ribs release more. And now we're going to do another arm stretch. So we're going to reach the right arm up and then bend the right elbow. And then you're going to take your left arm and reach it up and over and grab the elbow and hug it behind your head. Now this is one where people might want to start to go forward. So we want to use the back of the chair so that the chest is open in the front and the belly is open in the front. And it's the tricep and the outside of the shoulder that gets a stretch here. If you feel like you want to go deeper, move on an out breath. And then slowly we'll let that elbow move down. Maybe notice how the shoulders are feeling a little bit different. So here we're going to take the left arm up and over. And then folding the left elbow and then hugging the left elbow behind your head with your right hand. And it's like you're taking your left elbow towards the ceiling. So I'm even feeling a stretch through my back here. And then as you let go, I'm going to do the biggest movements possible with the arms. And if you feel like you have to yawn and stretch at all, that is actually really recommended. When we yawn and stretch, it moves the diaphragm, gets all the old stale air out. So I invite you to yawn. So this next arm stretch and shoulder stretch is called eagle arms. So you're going to take both arms in front of you and you're going to let your right arm come underneath your left. And then you're going to bend your elbows. Maybe you can bring the backs of the hands together. Maybe you can wrap your wrists so that your hand, your right hand is touching the palm of your left. So it also looks like this from the side or this side. And then from here, we don't want to sort of drop down through our spine. The top of our head is lengthening up. You're going to reach your elbows a little bit away from you and up. Letting your breath move your ribs. And then we're actually going to let the elbows fold in towards the belly, and we're going to round the whole spine around the elbows. So this stretches the whole upper back, but we're doing it conscientiously and on purpose. And then you're going to let your fingertips float up. And slowly unravel the arms. Maybe shake them out so we get like a little bit of heat in the arms, and then we'll take both arms forward again. And you're going to take your left arm underneath your right. Folding the elbows. Bring the backs of the hands together or wrapping the wrists. So this is really nice for the upper back. And you're also checking in with your breathing. Letting breath fall out of the body. So to go deeper into the stretch, you're going to send your elbows away from you and a little bit up. So this actually gets us warm a little bit. The arms are working, the shoulders are opening in the back. And then we're gonna start to curl over, letting the elbows come in towards your belly, rounding over, letting the upper back open. And then floating the fingertips up. Unraveling the arms. Shake them out. And just check in, noticing how your arms and your shoulders feel different. So here we're going to do a little head and neck movement and with some stretching. So you're going to let your right ear float in the direction of your right shoulder. And then you're going to take your left hand and reach away from your left ear. So stretching the trapezius muscles, that muscle that connects the neck and the shoulder. And then you can take the palm up. That actually changes the stretch a lot. And slowly your head floats up. Back to center. Letting breath out. Then we'll let the left ear float towards the left shoulder. Reaching the right hand away. Letting the neck and the shoulder lengthen away from each other. And then taking the palm up. Slowly floating out of this. I don't want to do anything that's too fast with the neck especially. And then we're going to, almost like we have a great big beach ball, we're going to wrap our arms and wrap our head around. So we're actually going to round the spine a little bit. And then we're going to reach behind and then open the spine, going into a little bit of heart opening. And this is a little bit easier for me facing the camera, but you see it better when I'm facing to the side. So we're going to wrap around, touching fingertips. And then reaching back behind. Looking up a little bit, but without looking up and crunching the neck. So we're moving the spine. And allowing the whole spine to move, and then wrapping and hugging the beach ball. And then floating the fingertips behind. Letting the chest open. And then we'll come back to center. And then here you can either put your hands at the side of the chair, so like this, or you can put your hands on your thighs. So in yoga, we usually do cat-cow on our hands and knees. So here we do cat-cow at the chair. So we're going to start by letting the hips rock forward, letting the belly open and lengthen without dropping the head back, because that can crunch the neck. And then we're going to round the whole spine. And then going into cow. So the belly coming forward is cow. And then rounding the spine forward is cat. So imagine if I'm on my hands and knees, I look like a cat whose hair is going up on end. And then letting the belly come forward, letting the shoulder blades come together, opening the chest. And rounding again. So letting the whole spine move. And then from here, we're going to, a broad stance with our legs is more helpful. So we're going to do some side stretching. We'll take the right arm out to the side. And then you're going to reach it up. So this broad stance with the legs is really helpful. And now your fingertips are going to be reaching across the room, but up towards the ceiling. And it's almost like there's one line from your fingertips to your foot. And we don't really want to curl, so it's a real strong diagonal. Your breathing is moving your right ribs. And then also checking that your hip on the right is also on the chair, so we don't want to lift the right hip up. And then you can look up towards the ceiling. Or look, and also look down towards the floor, letting the neck move. To come out of this, you're going to push through the right side, reach up to come up. And then reach out through the right side. And just giving yourself a moment to feel the impact of that. And then we'll take the left arm out to the side. And reaching up first. And then across on the diagonal. Reaching out of the right ribs, letting those ribs open and separate with as air comes into your body. And we'll look up towards the ceiling. If you're holding your breath, let breath out, and then you can also look down to get the different angles through the neck spine. And then we're going to reach up to come up. And we'll let the hands come down, around the side. Giving your body a moment to notice what's different. And then we're going to come into a twist. So for a twist, the twist is really through the midsection. We don't want to twist too much in the neck. This broad stance is also helpful for the twist. So we're going to start with allowing the ribs and your sternum to start to aim over your right thigh. So that's the beginning of a twist. That's a little teeny tiny twist. And then you're going to take your left hand against your left thigh. and reach your right hand behind you. And then on an out breath, so we want to do this on an out breath, you push into your left thigh with your left hand and twist the ribs around the pelvis. So it's mostly around the belly and the midsection where the twist is happening. We don't want to do too much with our neck. And you can let the nose and the chin drop just a tiny bit. That will lengthen your neck. And breathing is a little constricted here. It's supposed to be. But it's wringing out your digestive tract. So good for you. And then without slingshotting, you let yourself slowly unravel. Giving yourself a moment. So our breathing is moving our entire torso. It's moving the belly. It's moving the sides of the ribs. So we're not limiting our breathing to one part of us like our chest. And then we're going to let our ribs and our sternum rotate over the left thigh. So the beginning of the twist. Our head and our ribs are right over our pelvis, so we're not leaning forward or falling back. You're going to take your right hand on the inside of the right thigh and then reach your left hand around. So you use your hands against your thigh and on the chair to go deeper into the twist. And still staying focused on the movement of your breathing, even though it's restricted. You're wringing out your organs. And then slowly unraveling. Let breath out. And then we're going to do a little bit of a heart opener. We're going to stay there. So we want to be forward towards the front of the chair. And then we're going to let our hands come behind our seat. And then you're going to let the backs of your arms come towards the back of the chair. And then maybe even extend your legs out. So the elbows are hugging towards one another and you're pushing into your hands at your seat, and that lifts the chest. And then bring your feet underneath you, pushing into the hands to come up. It's a real, when we sit a lot, our chest gets tight and closed, so that's really nice chest opener. And now we're going to do another chest opener. So we're going to use our hand and hold the back of the chair. And then while you're holding the back of the chair with your right hand, you're going to bring your chest just a little bit forward and away. So that opens the pectoral muscle. I guess you can also sort of bring your hand. I have a little place where I can place my hand with my thumb pointing up, and then I'm twisting my chest towards the camera, and that opens the chest. And gently letting go of the back of the chair, coming back to facing center. We'll do a big yawn and stretch. Just giving your body what it needs. And then we'll do the second side. So bringing the left hand to the back of the chair, or like through one of the slats in the back of the chair. And then you can, so with your hand there, you're actually bringing the chest forward, away from the arms, so lengthening the front of the chest. And we'll unravel the spine, unravel the chest, and just checking in. Maybe take a moment to let your eyes either close lightly or look down towards the floor. And then for this next one, we're going to sit a little bit back towards the back of the chair. We're going to go into a forward fold, but we're going to move very progressively into the forward fold. So with an awareness of your seat in the chair and your thighs in the chair, that's our base, that's our foundation. And then the back of the head is floating up towards the ceiling. So rather than lifting the chin, which actually crunches our neck, we're thinking of the back of the head floating up away from the shoulders. And then we're going to send the back of the head across the room on the diagonal. But our hands are on our knees, so that helps support us. So slight forward fold. And then you can go deeper into the forward fold, but the back of the neck is still soft and long. And then letting your elbows come to your knees. And then on an out breath, so letting breath out, maybe you can slide your hands down your calves. Maybe you can slide your hands down towards your ankles. And then letting your head hang here. You can let your hands rest on the floor as well. So your breathing then moves into your low back. Maybe you notice your low back widening with the in-breath. And then we're going to do a half lift. So either your hands are on your ankles or on the floor, so you are pushing down through the ankles or pushing down through the shins or pushing down through the floor and sending the back of your head and your spine across the room. So a half lift, your spine is really long, and then fold deeper into the forward fold, almost like a waterfall. And then you're going to push into your feet and let your head hang. So you're going to roll up one vertebrae at a time. So as you push into your feet, your seat, your tush goes back into the chair. And then you start to send your low back towards the back of the chair. And you can put your hands on your thighs to push yourself back towards the back of the chair. Your head is still hanging. And then bringing your hands closer to your hips and your thighs as you continue to roll up the spine. Your head's the last thing to float up. Yeah, just noticing how you're feeling. Then we can let breath out, let the shoulders soften and release. So we're going to move into some hip stretches. And actually that forward fold is not only really good for the spine, but it's also a really nice deep fold for the hips. This next hip stretch is figure 4. So you're going to place your left foot so it's flat on the floor. And you're going to take your right foot up, and you're going to let the right knee go out to the side and bring your right ankle on top of your left knee. So for some people that have tight hips, this is already enough. I'm going to shift my weight a little bit further back into the chair. So then from here, you flex your right foot. That protects the ankle and the knee. And then you're going to start to fold over your legs. And then maybe just letting the elbow, so your left elbow on your ankle and your right elbow on your knee. And maybe this is where you hang out, or maybe you fold deeper over that folded leg. You should feel this on the outside of the right hip. And you're going to push into the left foot with a long spine. Your back of your head's coming away from your shoulders. As you come back and up in space. And then take the right leg down, and you're going to just letting your femur bones swing in your hip joints. We often don't let our legs move like this in the hip joints. It's just a really nice release. The hip joints are rounded and the ball and socket joint is lubricated. So this movement is reminding our hips and our nervous system and our muscles that this is a rounded joint. And then we'll take the left knee and bring it up. And then rotate the left knee out to the side. Bring the left knee on top of the left ankle on top of the right knee. So this takes us into some external rotation of the hips. And, as women, we're usually if we're sitting like this with our legs crossed, we actually really narrow and we don't allow for that external rotation of the hips. And then you can even, with a tall spine, you can even push into the left knee and send it down. And then you're going to let yourself come over, so forward fold over the left shin. Left elbow is on the left knee, right elbow is on the ankle. And there's some activity in the right leg. It's not just dead weight. It's working for you, keeping you stabilized. Outside of the left hip is getting a nice stretch. And then you're going to reach the back of the head across the room, long spine as you come up. And then taking the left foot down off of the right knee. Yeah, that hip stretch can be so nice for sitting a lot. And then we'll shake the legs out. And from here, we're actually going to go into a straddle stretch. So usually on the chair, on the floor, you could sit in a straddle. So if you're going to be on the chair in a straddle, I'm just letting our hands grab the chair. This is another movement that we don't often do unless we are doing a straddle stretch. And then you can fold your right knee. And then you're going to take your left hand and start to slide it down the left leg. So maybe you start above the knee, maybe your hand is below the knee. Maybe you can let the hand slide down a little bit more. Maybe your hand slides down towards your ankle. It's like a seated skandasana, seated half lunge. And then using your hands to walk yourself back up. Nice, and then we'll bend the left knee and extend the right heel. So using your hands to help walk yourself deeper into the stretch. You're gonna slide the hand down the right leg. So maybe you hang out above the knee. Maybe you hang out below the knee. So this is also a subtle twist too. Check the back of your neck. Let the back of your head float away from your shoulders towards your toes. Let your shoulders rest down your back, away from your skull. Let breath out. And then use your hands to walk yourself back up. And we're going to continue doing some forward folding here. This time you're going to have your left foot your left ankle right underneath your left knee. You're going to flex through your right foot. And then we're, just like we just did, we're going to let the hand slide down. Sorry, this is your right leg, your right foot is flexed. You're going to start to slide down and letting your fingertips come to your shin. Maybe your fingertips come to your ankle. Maybe you can get your feet, your peace fingers to your big toe. Stretching the backs of the legs, the long spine. Letting breath out. And then walking your hands back up. And we'll switch the legs. Extending through the left leg, flexing the left heel, but your right knee is right over your right ankle. The out breath points our spine towards the ceiling first, so the chin comes down, the neck is long, and then we can start to fold over the left leg. So maybe your hand rests on your shin below your knee. Maybe your hand rests around your ankle or close to your ankle. Maybe you can get your peace fingers around your left big toe. And using your hands to walk yourself back up. So this next one is going to be sort of, I think, facing the side of the chair. I'm going to move my props out of the way here. And so I'm facing the right side. And I'm going to have my right thigh and hip on the chair. And then I'm going to send my left leg, and I'm using my hands to hold onto the back of the chair and maybe also hold the corner of the chair. So we're going to go into a lunge. So the first step is just to let the left thigh drop down. So our hip flexors, if we're sitting too much, our hip flexors get really tight. And then if you start to, if it feels like your body says yes, you can start to reach your left toes a little bit behind you. The direction that we're moving in is a lunge, but it's supported by the chair. You want to make sure that your knee is pointing straight down towards the floor and that your ankle is on top of your big toe. So we don't want the ankle going out to the side of the foot. It's right on top of the toes. And the more you can extend through your left heel, the nicer, fuller, deeper lengthening you can have through the front of the hip flexor. Letting the shoulders soften, letting the jaw soften. And then letting the knee fold. Letting the foot come back underneath you. I mean, I personally can hang out in that stretch so long because I love hip flexor stretches. And then we'll face the other direction. So you want to have your left thigh and hip stable on the chair so you feel supported and steady, holding onto the back of the chair and having your right hand at the corner of the chair. And then you can first just start with the knee dropping down. I mean, for some people, the hip flexors are so tight that this is already enough. Letting breath out. And then starting to reach the toes a little bit further behind you. Now what we don't want to do is go into back bend and let our upper body arch back. Our upper body is right over our hips and over our thigh. And then maybe letting the leg, the right knee extend. But check your heel so your heel isn't going out to the side. Your heel's right on top of your toes. Front of the hip. And there's engagement in the front leg, so your left leg is working here. And then letting the back knee soften. Letting the foot come underneath you. Walking back, facing forward. And just letting the thighs. So this is inward rotation and outward rotation, letting them roll in and out, moving the femur bones in the hip sockets. So we're going to do that stretch again and add another movement on top of it. So we're going to face the right side again. Right knee is right on top of the right ankle. Holding on to the back of the chair. Left knee drops down. And then starting to reach the right leg, right toes back. And then maybe moving in the direction of extending the left leg. And then, so you're holding onto the back of the chair with your right arm. You're going to take your left arm up and stretch over the back of the chair. Letting your ribs move, letting your belly move, letting your low back move. The legs are active here, so they are working for you. And then reaching up to come out of it. Letting your left knee fold. And then we'll face forward. Moving the femur bones in the hip sockets, and then we'll face the left again. So your left knee is right on top of your left ankle. Holding onto the back of the chair, let your right knee first point down. So this is actually the angle of the thigh when we're standing. And then reaching your right heel and toes behind you. Maybe extending through the knee. So you're holding onto the back of the chair. Your legs are active here. So even though you're on the chair, they're working. If we took the chair away, maybe you wouldn't fall over. And let's take the right arm up. And then you're going to reach over the back of the chair. Reaching up first to come out of it. Then letting the right knee start to bend. Bringing the right thigh forward. You can let that hand come down and we'll face the front again. Moving femur bones in the joint. So here we're going to bring the right knee up. So almost like a little tuck on the right knee. And then you can take your hands around that knee and hug it towards you. So if your heel comes off the ground, you're hugging, but we don't want to shrink our shoulders and crunch our neck. Shoulders are resting down. Back of the head is away from the shoulders. We have some options here. So the left leg is actually working pretty strongly to keep you in balance. So it's not just hanging out, floating around, really pushing into the floor, stabilizing here. So from here, you can take the leg out to the side. You're on both sits bones and sitting tall. The other option is you can take your hand to your ankle and just start to extend the leg. Now, if you're really open, you can take your peace finger to your big toe. Maybe hold on to the side of the chair with the left hand. And maybe sitting tall, letting the leg extend just a hair more. Nice, good work. Let your right knee fold. Let the foot come down, really nice. Okay, let's do the second side. So we'll bring the left knee up. Back of the head is away from the shoulders so the neck is long. And then you're gonna hug the knee in. Deep flexion in the hip joints. And then the right leg is doing work. It's really pushing into the floor so you're stable. And you're not leaning off to the side. You're on both sits bones. So same thing, you have options. You can take the knee out. You can maybe hold at the ankle and take the leg out. Maybe even taking the peace fingers. Sitting up tall. Take your other hand out to the side. Yeah, nice. Such a glorious pose. And letting the knee fold. Letting the legs come down, shake it out. Good work. So we're gonna go into a bit of sort of like a half butterfly stretch. So we're gonna start by taking the right leg up and bringing the right foot against the right thigh. Now, if we were on the floor, we'd take both feet together and have both legs in butterfly. But on the chair, it's easier just to do one leg. So this is already really nice opening for the inner thigh. And you can put a little bit of weight with your right hand down through the right knee. And then maybe from here we can, almost like you're holding a baby, wrap your elbow, your left elbow around the left foot, taking the right arm. And this little rocking action is moving the femur bone and the hip joint. And then using, like you're putting down a baby, bringing your hands to the side, gently letting the foot come down, then letting the right foot find the floor. Nice. And we'll do this second side. So half butterfly, bringing the sole of the left foot against the right thigh. Sitting tall so the back of the head floats up, chin's a little down. That actually lengthens the neck and allows the shoulders to release. And on an out breath, you can push into your left thigh. The waist is long. And then we're going to pick up the baby on the left side. So taking maybe the elbow around the left foot and the hand around the left knee. And rock the baby. It's kind of easy to lean to one side, so check in with your seat and you're on both sits bones. And gently setting the baby down. And then letting the foot come down. So we're starting to wind down here. From here, we're going to do some, basically, it's breathing and movement, but we want to do, I call it yawning and stretching. So we're going to reach out and up again, back to the beginning of the class. And then yawning as you fold forward and down. Pushing into your feet to roll back. And yawning. And folding forward. Pushing into your feet to roll up. We'll do that one more time. Yawning.
Go, go.
I know we started at 341, so I'm taking us to 341. Yawning, reaching up, and reach with your right hand up towards the ceiling. Reach with your left hand up towards the ceiling. Reach with both hands. And then you're going to use the back of the chair. If you want to grab like a blanket or a sweatshirt or anything. If you feel like you want to like receive energy, you can have your palms up. If you feel like you want to ground, you can have your palms down. Instead of having the palms forward towards the knees, that sort of rounds us. We're going to bring the palms closer to the hips. So our final resting pose, Shavasana. You can have your eyes closed or at half mast. We're letting your body rest into the chair. Letting your jaw soften and dangle. Letting your shoulders melt down your back on an out breath. Noticing that you have a body. Letting yourself feel sleepy here. You can start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, maybe sliding your thumbs against your fingertips. Yeah. Rolling through your feet, wiggling your toes, rolling your wrists out. We'll do one more yawn and stretch overhead. Bring the hands down through center, letting them rest at the heart. I thank you so much for spending this time with me and sharing your practice with me. I'm just so grateful for your willingness, and I appreciate you so much. Bring my hands, my thumbs to my third eye, and bow. Namaste.
That was great.